Bonsoir à tous, bienvenue pour un nouvel épisode d'Opinion. Opinion, vous le savez, ce sont deux journalistes de la presse internationale qui nous rejoignent tous les jours pour partager avec nous leur avis sur les films qu'ils ont découverts, nous donner un peu le parfum de cette sélection officielle, un parfum de cette 68e édition du Festival de Cannes. Aujourd'hui, je suis très heureuse d'accueillir Xiwan Nan. Bonjour, vous êtes critique de cinéma, journaliste taïwanais. Vous avez créé et vous êtes le président de l'association Paris-Taïwan
of Paris Taipei. I hope that I will be invited to your French Film Festival in Taiwan. With great pleasure. And hello, Fabrice Leclerc, Editor-in-Chief of Studio Ciné. We often see one another in the movie theatres. There's plenty to talk about today. Before we get into our subject, can I just ask for your feedback on what's happened so far? The quality of the films, what you've already seen, and what you're looking forward to. There are two films which remain in my mind, the Stéphane Brisé, The Measure of a Man, and the Nanni Moretti films as well.
C'est un joli lapsus. Alors entre la présentation du Gaspard Noé ou le désir que vous avez pour le film,
perhaps you're getting a bit confused there with your title there, but yes, the Nanni Moretti also, because that really moved me. And there are two outsiders. I would say the Audiard film and the Sorrentino film. They are very talented outsiders. But if I were to go home with four films today, because the film hasn't finished yet, but those would be the four. You're the first person not to have mentioned Son of Saul. Well, there's always one in every bunch. Indeed. I think there might be a big surprise in terms of Son of Saul, because that is a very serious subject. Personally, I would like a big Taiwanese director would win the palm, because a filmmaker from Taiwan has never won the Palme d'Or.
Mais on est là pour ça, on est là pour discuter.
But these are things that we can talk about. Well, as far as Son of Saul is concerned, it would be great for the Caméra d'Or, the first film. It's that competition, the Golden Camera, has been a bit swept to one side recently, so it would be really great to have such an impressive film. Tomorrow, there's a Michel Franco film which we're going to be seeing. It's called Chronic, and I think he was the winner of a Golden Camera. There was one perfect film, Carol, by Todd Haynes. Often the film is, the winner of the Golden Palm can be perfect. But when we see what's happening in the newspapers, some predict Carol, some predict the Nanni Moretti film. Do you feel that the journalists all seem to agree? Do the Chinese, the Taiwanese, the journalists all agree on the same thing? If the Taiwanese press have other things to do. They're not really, they've not all seen the films. So there's not a general consensus. We are going to talk about two films today. We're going to talk about Jacques Audiard's return. He was discovered in Watch Them Fall here in Cannes, and then he had the screenplay prize. He had the jury prize in 2009 for A Prophet, and he's back this year in competition with DHEEPAN, and here are a few images.
நீ ஒழுங்கா படிக்கணும் போய் ஃப்ரெஞ்சு கதைக்கும் மற்ற பிள்ளைகள் மாதிரி வடிவாக படித்து ஃப்ரெஞ்சு கதைக்கும் இல்லாட்டி எல்லாம் திருப்பி நீங்கள் போடுவாங்க ஒரு எனக்கு ஒரு இதுலையும் போய் விருப்பமா விருப்பமா எனக்கும் விருப்பம் இல்லை என்ன பேர் படிக்க முறையா எலும்பு போ.
A few words about the story. This is a man, a woman, a child who are a false family. They don't really have any links. They leave Sri Lanka, come to France. The guy gets a job in a rather difficult housing estate. Is it a film about the housing estate? Is it a political film? I think it's a bit of everything. I think most of all it's a film about war in Sri Lanka, in France, in these housing estates, between two people who were waging a war of love before they put down their weapons. I think it's a film about confrontation, violence that one can encounter every day. And it's also a film where Jacques Audiard once again manages to combine 5 genres of this detective, love story. Jacques Audiard has such a talent, and he really is a maestro, and he can bring all of these elements together and it works. Is this a typical Audiard or is this a new style Audiard? I would say it's an Audiard like The Prophet, like A Prophet. The direction is wonderful. There are 3 or 4 sequence shots which are absolutely outstanding. It's slightly more worked than Rust and Bone work. Yes, of course it's a Jacques Audiard, but I do feel here that Jacques Audiard is opening his heart here, talking about love. There was a bit of love in Rust and Bone. Yes, but we'll not say what the end is, but it's a happy ending in this film. Xu, do you agree with that? What about the other French films you've seen? French films? I've seen most of the films in competition. As far as the Audiard film, it's a very French film for the French. What do you mean by that? These are people who come from another country. There's a blend of cultures. But it is not a political subject for Taiwan. The Taiwanese will be wondering whether these outskirts, these city outskirts, are in France or not. Because the French love to talk about politics. But future generations like that kind of thing. It's a universal subject. But above all, I think it's not political. It's a film about love. And did you feel moved by the film? Because you're representing Taiwan here, but you are, of course, a cinema goer. Were you moved by the film or shocked? It's a very difficult love in the film, a forced love. But at the end, I don't want to do a spoiler here, but the end of the Audiard film is a key component of the film. A lot of people think that the end is a bit of the easy way out, but no, that end says so much about what we've seen earlier in the film. Audiard is great at suggesting things. For love, for example, it's all gestures, bodies which are slipping in the dark. It's not at all demonstrative. Yes, he suggests things in his films. But this is not A Prophet, where there was no love at all. In this film, there is love. To come back to the end of the film, I was wondering why they didn't find love in France. I'm wondering why I wonder why they came to France to be happy. Well, listen, let's not say too much about the end because the viewers haven't yet seen it. What about the cast? What about actors? Tahar Rahim, of course, was fabulous in A Prophet, and since then he's got a fabulous career. Here we've got 2 actors. There's the lead role, Anthony Jesudasan. He's absolutely outstanding, and his leading lady, Kali Srinivasan. They're both wonderful, and the male lead has experienced in his own life very much the subject of the story. He was a child fighter in Sri Lanka. He managed to escape with a false passport, and he has been accepted in France as a political refugee. So I think when you know that about the actor, then it colours your judgment. But all the same, he is an amazing actor. He really can convey so many messages. He amazed me. But once again, that's typical of Jacques Audiard, to take a person, to shape the actor and to transcend what the actor is. He transcends what the different individuals are. But at the film festival, it wouldn't be the first time for a non-professional actor to come to fame here at the festival. That's one of the goals of the festival. How about the actors and actresses which you've seen in films so far? Are there any performances which stand out? I love Michael Caine in the Paolo Sorrentino film because it's Michael Caine, and he is so funny. He's majestic. He's fragile too, and I think it could be a good idea to reward Michael Caine. I love Cate Blanchett. I think she could be Best Actress. And let's think of Vincent Lindon, of course. But for those people who've seen the film here in Cannes, well, it's absolutely obvious because it's been a real success here in Cannes, I think, and it's also been released 60,000 box office, better than the Desplechin films, and Vincent Lindon is fabulous in the film. Indeed, he's wonderful. He could easily win Best Actor. He makes me think of similar roles that he's played in the past. That is another debate. Let's move on to another film now. It's called The Assassin by Hu Xiaoxian. He got the jury prize for The Puppet Master in '93, and I think you'd be very happy if we were to win another prize. Let's take a look at some of the footage from 9th century China. So, Xizhen, a word about that film. If I'm not mistaken, it's been some time since Hu Xiaoxian hasn't brought a film out. Yes, 8 years. He's been working on this one for 8 years, and I think he spent 3 years filming. And the shoot took place in China, Taiwan, and Japan. And so it's 8 years because of this film, or was he doing something else as well? It's mostly because of this film. It's a very well-finished film, very technical film, and he used traditional film, celluloid, and then, of course, it had to be transferred in post-prod to digital technologies. And so that was another episode. On paper, there's always a samurai film in Cannes. This is perhaps the representative this year, or is it more than that? It's a Hu Xiaoxian film more than a samurai film. We also have to address the question of genre, because it's not a typical martial arts film. This is a work of art by Hu Xiaoxian. There's such minimalism in the film. Even the title, The Assassin. It's a woman assassin. And that's the great thing about it. And he, Hu Xiaoxian, composed all of these tableaus in the film. We're talking about genre cinema, and it's interesting to see that there are a lot of genre here in Cannes this year. We have art house films, of course, dealing with difficult subjects such as Son of Saul. But Son of Saul is a genre film also, because these directors, particularly the new generation, like to take a genre, turn it upside down, and broach it from a more difficult angle. We've never seen so many genre films here. Yes, there's The Lobster, of course, which is full of special effects, a film about the future. And yeah, there's a real flavor this year. We often talk about intellectual films here in Cannes, but this year I don't think there have been any intellectual films. And Thierry Frémaux said there aren't any films to punish the film lovers, because there are always a couple that are difficult to sit through. Is there any film that... how did you feel about The Assassin? Well, it's a genre film. It's something you can watch for entertainment. It's made by a master, Hu Xiaoxian. But apart from that, it's a genre film. Nothing new for you. I think this is more than a martial arts film. Modern-day martial arts films done by Kim Woo, for example, don't use very many special effects. And this isn't a martial arts film. Because the way that the actors act, their expressions, it's a film that you have to feel. It's not an action film. No, it's much richer than that. You're talking about the actors. Shu Qi is the leading lady. She played for him in Millennium Mambo and 3 times. Yes, it's thanks to Hu Xiaoxian that she has become a wonderful international actress. And how do you think she did in this film? Well, she did very well. What I'd like to add is that in the Asiatic selection, there are 3 regulars here at the festival, 3 Asiatic, the Koreeda, who is broaching the family, but in a different way. There's Jae Sang-ke, who's talking about China and the problems in China, and once again, Hu Xiaoxian, who's brought us a genre movie. It's actually interesting to analyze the works of these regulars who've come with a different type of product this time. This film, given the pace that it's got, is similar to 3 times, because it's a slow film. It's very poetic, very well structured. It's all about the Tang dynasty in China, and when we look at the film, sometimes I wasn't looking, if I don't look at the subtitles in French, I don't understand what's going on the screen, because the language really is that 9th century language in Chinese. We've been talking about habits. Usually there's a bit of scandal every year in Cannes. It was said that the Gaspar Noé would be the scandal this year, but that doesn't seem to be the case. There's 3D porno film screened last night at midnight. Is it a scandal? Is it not? 3D porno? No, it's not that at all. It's a film about a difficult love affair. It's about feelings and sexuality also. But this year in Cannes, there is something which has struck me as we talk about the marketing angle. There are films which are premiered here. Gaspar Noé, a 3D porno. No, it's not at all a 3D porno film. So I think we're overselling some of the films this year. And I don't know why. I don't know what the point is. Or perhaps it's just that the media are vying for listeners and readers. Well, it's perhaps a tradition here in Cannes. There's always a film that causes a bit of a stir. I don't think you will always have a controversy when you say there's going to be a controversy. Well, perhaps the film Cruise were trying to get us all interested. Thank you both for coming into the studio. Let's talk about perhaps predictions, perhaps tomorrow, because we've got more films being released, and there are more films this evening. There are going to be some red carpets, including for the Audiard film, DHEEPAN, and followed by the red carpet of The Assassin. So enjoy the rest of the evening on TV Festival.